So for my industry research, I chose to do music production slash the music industry in general. So some of the key skills required in this industry are negotiation and creative thinking. Negotiation is because there's constant negotiation of contracts with artists and distributors. And that's a very key skill to be able to have in order to generate revenue for firms. And then creative thinking, just because obviously, music is a creative industry. And so that's going to be a key skill in operating in an industry like that. For competencies, project management is important because every single or album or concert is going to be a project. And so there needs to be, some project management competencies there. And then motivation, just because artists have to be motivated to make music that people are going to buy. As far as qualities, talent is an obvious one that goes back to creativity. You basically have to have it to thrive in the industry. And then flexibility. So going with all the new technological changes, it's very important for both artists and the labels that they work for to be able to really move with that with these changes. As far as technological developments, digitalization and streaming have become huge, which has led to a decline in physical stores. And so digitalization is when you download an album, maybe from iTunes or like Apple Music, or Amazon Music, whereas streaming is just going on Spotify. And you can kind of pick any song. You might pay a monthly subscription, and you can basically listen to whatever. With things like Spotify or Apple Music, there's been an increase in artificial intelligence because they have algorithms that can track consumer data and what you're listening to in order to build customized playlists, which is really interesting for the artists that get chosen for those playlists, as well as the music that is shown to users, and that can make a big impact in revenue from streaming for labels. The demographics are pretty straightforward because it pretty much touches everybody. But the three main music groups people listen to are rock, pop, and indie. And then societally, consumer spending is a huge driver, as well as what consumers' perception of an artist is or a label is. And currently, consumers are opting for streaming. So that's something that the music industry just has to deal with because consumer spending is such a large driver. As far as precarity, it's one of the least precarious jobs just because it's so based in technical skills. Um, Once you have finally broken into the music industry, which does have a fairly high barrier to entry, um, it's very hard. Uh, it's very hard, basically, to get put out, just because labels actually need your skills in order to generate revenue, and especially like if you're a producer or something like that. Um, and then artist sales. So even if you are talented but you're not making any sales, that's probably a way that is not going to end out too well for you. But on the bright side, people are not really placed by technology in this industry because you have to have artists that are talented. You have to have people that can produce the music. You have to have labels to distribute it. So that gives it some longevity, even though it is being disrupted by technology a little bit. Um, because of those technical skills, there's an increase in employment, especially when it comes to streaming and digitalization. Companies are really, really looking to have some people who understand that, which is leading to an increase in employment. But there's also this kind of tension between new artists who aren't getting their music out as far as streaming goes, but labels who love the easy distribution of streaming. So that's really an interesting outlook internally within firms. And then some other factors are globalization, which has led to international streaming. You can listen to music from anywhere. You have faster distribution because you don't have to wait for CDs to ship. The environment doesn't really affect the industry. However, there is record high consumer demand for music, which is nice. And then recent coverage has really just focused on streaming and where streaming is going, because that's really the most salient thing going on right now. And occasionally we'll also talk about artists, or their labels as well. Um, some of the tools for learning are listed out here. So IBIS World was actually a really great resource. Billboard keeps the charts so you can see who's doing what, which is really nice. Um, And then these are the sources that I used.